Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Anchorage Ice Tigers draft category MyNBA here in NBA 2K26. So in last episode, if you did not catch it, we took on the Minnesota Timberwolves in the conference finals, and as you can see, we managed to sweep them, which is kind of a surprise, but also they were missing Anthony Edwards, so I think that was a big reason why we took him out so easily. But now we've won our last 8 games, and of course, obviously, we've only lost one game in this entire playoffs, which is in the first round, so our team's been absolutely cruising all the way to this finals where we're going to be taking on the Washington Wizards. Now, the Wizards are a really strong team, of course, as well. They have won a championship recently. I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago at this point in time. But they have not made it back since then. So it should be interesting to see if we can beat them. They do obviously have one of the best players in the league in Bernard Russell. So I think it's obviously going to be a tougher task for us than the rest of these years. Like, I definitely think the Wizards could be one of these first teams that hand us a couple losses rather than only one or nothing. So going to be an interesting finals for sure. I was expecting us to take on Philadelphia just because Philadelphia obviously has won 2 championships in a row. And then obviously last year they lost in the conference finals. Well, they lost in the conference finals again this year. So I guess they will be probably regressing relatively soon, which is kind of good for us because maybe that means we can win multiple championships more after this. Obviously, we're still going for a back-to-back year. So hopefully we can find a way to do it. Like I was saying, Washington was the second seeded team technically in the Eastern Conference. They managed to take out Brooklyn in 7 games. So I'm kind of surprised Brooklyn actually forced 7 games against them because afterwards Washington was able to sweep Cleveland and also take out Philadelphia in 5 games. So Washington's had a really solid playoffs at this point. Like, if we even go to actually I think it was playoff statistics. If we look at like the team stats from the playoffs, they have some pretty good numbers in areas that we don't necessarily. So I think it could be a pretty even series in some ways. Like, you can see we're 12-1, they're 12-4, but you look at points per game, obviously we have a better offensive play, but their points allowed per game is really, really good. They're only allowing 105.5. We're allowing 106.5. So both teams are pretty similar defensively, but we obviously have the way better offense. If you look at other things like, for instance, field goal percentage, you can see that they're a tiny bit better than us. We're very similar teams in that stance, though. Same goes with 3-point percentage. So you might be able to match our offense kind of well too. We're much better in the free throws, so that's the one difference really on offense. And then in terms of rebounding, obviously you can see offensive rebounds were a lot better than they are, 14.1 to 10.9. So I think that could be a way of us getting some points in this series. And then you can see defensive rebounds, they're a little bit better with 0.4 better than us. So pretty similar numbers in that area. And then if we head on over to other stuff like rebounds per game, you can see obviously total, we're a little bit better than they are. Assists per game, they are better. In steals per game, they're even actually better than us. So they are better at distributing the ball around, and they're also better at taking it away from us. Blocks per game, we're dead even. And turnovers per game, they don't turn it over as much as us. And they also don't foul as much as us either. So I am interested to see how that impacts the simulation because I know our team has had trouble in the past, obviously, where we took too many fouls. Some of the teams we played, I think, in this year's playoffs fouled us more than that. So I'm kind of curious to see if we're going to be fouling the Wizards a lot more or if they're going to be fouling us a lot more. Because, like I said, our team is actually pretty good at the free throw line. So that could make a difference if we're getting more chances at it, or they are really good at it as well. So going to be interesting to see who will end up winning this championship. Let me show you guys again what their roster is looking like, just in case you forgot as well. But you can see they've won 2 championships. I think one of them must have been in real life or was a long time ago. I'm not too sure exactly, but they have won one with Bernard Russell, of course, and this is their team. Obviously, aside from Bernard Russell, though, they also have Sylvester Sessions, who's an 89 overall point guard, so he's also a really solid player. Was drafted in the same year that Dennis Semenko was, I think, is what we came to terms with last episode. But yeah, he's a really good player, and yeah, obviously we got to watch out for him, especially in terms of offense. 16.9 points per game this playoffs. They also have Blake Simpson, who's nothing crazy. Harvey Farrell is an 87, so a pretty good player to have. And of course, Bernard Russell's an insane machine on 24.7 points per game right now. Not as strong as he was like a couple of years back, but he's still one of the premier players in the league as a 96 overall. Like, he's as good as Evans basically, but Evans obviously is a lot younger. So it will be interesting to see how Bernard Russell's career wraps up with Washington because he's 29 at this point, so he's probably only got a couple of years left unless he plays until his later 30s, which could be the case. But He's definitely been one of the better players and more consistent players in his universe. They also have Bernard Chambers, Anthony Black's a solid player, so you can see their top 6 players are pretty good. Aside from that, you have some decent bench options like SARS in 84, Dalton Connects in 80, but then it starts to drop off a lot of it with these 76 overalls, but they're still useful. And then, of course, these type of guys don't really get to play any minutes whatsoever in the playoffs just because, obviously, it's mostly their main guys, I would assume. So that's their roster. During the season, I'm pretty sure we beat them both times we played them because we obviously didn't lose a lot of games during the season. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we could do against them as a full-time series because obviously we've never played them in the playoffs before. And they technically have the same strengths as us. They just have a weakness. So, like, their weakness is agility, but they have, like, the exact same strengths in terms of mid-range shooting, three-point shooting, and layups. So, I feel like this could be a type of series that both teams match each other quite well. And I could see it going maybe to 7 games, if that, maybe 6 games. But I do expect Washington to at least give us a little bit of a problem in some of these games, especially the ones in Washington, I would say, just because obviously most teams are probably better on their home court than they are on the road. So, with that said, I think we're ready to get into this matchup. I don't think there was any adjustments we needed to make. Let's double check our coaching game plan, see if we needed to make anything. Westbrook is still hurt a bit. That's another thing that I forgot to mention in the last episode. He went down with a little bit of an injury, so we are going to reduce his minutes down to 28 like it suggests, just to make sure he doesn't get injured even more so, because he will be playing to start this finals. So I guess those extra 2 minutes we got, we could put on somebody else. Just trying to think. Oh, I guess we could put them on Rex. Yeah, we could put Rex up to 36 with them. Because Rex obviously has been one of our best players in this playoffs to this point in time. So, anyways, with that said, let's get to game number 1. Of course, we have home court advantage. So, hopefully, we could use it to our advantage. And hopefully, Westbrook plays good, even though he is technically hurt a little bit. He will be back to full health within the next 1 to 2 weeks. So, he should be back to full health before we win the championship or before we end up losing it. So, let's see what happens. First quarter underway, and I did not mean to click X on that part, apparently. I don't even know what the heck happened there. I thought, oh, I went return to calendar, not sim to game. There you go. Let's press X on this, and let's start this up and see how our offense matches against the Wizards, which so far, not necessarily the craziest start. We do give up them first, like, 10 points of the game already, which is not ideal. Our offense has been really quiet here in the early going as well. I really hope that this isn't one of those series that we just get completely crapped on. But I do think our team will obviously match up quite well against these Wizards. But we obviously got to make sure not to fall too far behind, or else that's going to be problematic. All right, so at the end of the first quarter, it's going to be a 29-19 lead for the Wizards. So yeah, that's one of our worst quarters in quite some time. The Wizards are a very good team in terms of containing offenses. Like I said, they allow less points per game than us. So that is not a great way to start it off, only scoring 19 points, because obviously we've been averaging like 30 plus a quarter. We had some quarters last round where we scored like 40. So I hope that our offense gets better as this game goes on. But so far, low scoring game. So far, Dennis has done the most work, which is kind of surprising. 7 points through 9 minutes, and then everybody else is 3 and below. So hopefully we could get some other guys going a little bit, especially guys like Bishop, who's on the bench, Carroll, or not on the bench, I should say, as a starter, Carroll as well. And then, of course, some of the bench options, hopefully they get going a little bit too. But definitely a slow start for our offense, especially early on. So let's see if we could kind of rebound in a second. Obviously, there were some games last round where we were actually trailing at halftime and then we bounced back. So we are still in this game clearly. But obviously, we got to find a way to get that offense flowing and making sure that they don't run away too much in this game. Let's see what happens. Second quarter underway. See if we could make this game close again, as it's still hanging around that 10-point game, which obviously we want to keep it at least 10 points. We can't be falling back by like 20 points, which now we're kind of doing that, which is not ideal, as the Wizards seem to be getting their offense, but we're trying to make sure that they don't get too far. But they so far have definitely posed the biggest threat to us, it seems like, and I kind of expected them to be a bit of a threat, but I don't really want them to win a game in our home building, because that would be absolutely not great, because we'd have to win one, of course, in Washington in that sense. But obviously, still a lot of game left to go in this one, and at the end of the first half, it is going to be a 59-42 lead for them, so they outscore us 30-23. That is definitely our worst first quarter, I would say, our first half, I should say, of a game. Definitely, they are very strong defensively, and I would guess most of it is because of Bernard Russell. But yeah, the fact that we didn't even score 30 in either of those first 2 quarters is not very good. We've had quarters where we scored a combined total of probably the first and the second, so we got to be much better in the second half. I have seen us come from behind before, so I hope that's the case still, but this is definitely a really tough start to the NBA Finals. So Rex on 10 points, we have Dennis on 9, we have Washburn on 8 off the bench. That's really good. And then everybody else is 5 and below, but there is some good rebounding numbers from Bishop and Westbrook. But I need a lot more from guys like Evans. Of course, Evans obviously was the Western Conference MVP or Western Conference. Yeah, we're in the Western Conference. Western Conference MVP. So he's been really good in his career. And so far in his finals, he's been pretty quiet. But he does already have 4 fouls, so maybe he's getting some minutes managed a bit. Looks like we're getting maybe into a bit of foul trouble in the first half. Let's take a look at that. So field goal percentage right now, they're shooting 49%. We're shooting only 32%. 3-point wise, we've been 29%. They're 55%. Yeah, that's probably the difference in the game right now. And in free throws, we are actually better than they are, but they are definitely having more trips to the free throw line. So I guess technically they are the more disciplined of the two teams. And then if we go down here, offensive rebounds, we do have more like we have been doing during the season so far. Defensive rebounds are pretty close. And in the biggest lead they've had is 17. We've never had the lead in this entire game at this point in time. So we need to have a big second half here, and we need guys to get going, and hopefully some people don't foul out, because or else that could hurt us quite a bit. But down by 17 is not good. We need to definitely close this down to single-digit lead for them only, or find a way to tie this game up somehow. So third quarter underway. Can we get back into this game, or is Washington just too much for us? Which right now seems to be the case, because they are hanging up at 20-plus points on us. This is not a good first game. Well, it's only one game. We can't be too worried. We haven't lost a game, obviously, since the first round, so I'm just hoping that our team is able to respond in game 2, because at this point, there's probably almost no way our team is going to come back in this unless Washington has an absolutely bad fourth quarter, because they are outscoring us in every single quarter, and they are one of the rare teams that actually knows how to contain our offense. They're almost up by 30 points on us, which is quite crazy considering, like I said, during the regular season, we only lost like 10, 11 games. So this team is definitely a little flat right now. They might be a little bit tired too from how the playoffs have gone up to this point, or maybe they just had too much rest time in between series. But so far, Rex has been good on 13 points. Well, not great, I would say, but he's been leading the team at least. Semenko's on 12, and then we have a bunch of guys on 8. So at least like the depth scoring still looks like it's pretty evident, but obviously we're not scoring enough. That's the main thing. So obviously this is a really rough start for our team, but I'm hoping that obviously next game we could start to find ourselves, because you look at like the field goal percentage, it's drastically better for them. They've hit 10 more shots than us. 3-point percentage, we're both very similar in terms of actually making shots total, but in terms of actual shots that have been put up, they've put up a lot less. So they're 53%, we're only 25%. And in free throws, they've had a lot more trips to the free throw line. We have a better percentage than they do, but we've obviously hit less because they've been to the line a lot more. So yeah, this does not look like a great game. They already have 37 bench points as well, so I guess their bench is doing really well in this one, which is not great. The offensive rebounds are definitely still in our favor. Same with defense by a little bit. But our team really needs to find a way to get something going in this fourth quarter. Obviously, we aren't probably going to win this game, but as long as we have a good fourth quarter, maybe we could take some of that momentum into the next game, because obviously losing a home court game, we don't want to end up losing 2 of them, or else we're going to have to find ways to win both games in Washington, which is doable, but I just don't like that our team is playing this bad. Obviously, we did expect the Wizards to take some games, though, so it makes sense. Anyways, let's see what happens in this fourth quarter as we look to maybe get something going at least for next game. But right now, this game is pretty much insurmountable. I don't know how our team's losing by over 30 points at this point in time, but this is definitely maybe one of our worst games all season, because I don't know if we've ever been beaten this badly by a team. I don't think we have. Like, I didn't expect us to be losing every single quarter in a matchup. I expected it to be a little bit closer for sure, but Washington must be having some, like I said, it's a good bench points. I would assume Bernard Russell and their starters have been good as well. But we're going to lose by a absolute metric ton of points. I think that's almost by 40 points. Yeah, it's just under 40 points. It's like 35 points, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, that's absolutely our worst game of the entire playoffs and maybe the entire season. So we need to respond in the next game for sure. In terms of box score, though, for us, Semenko had 17 points. We had Washburn on 15, so Washburn played a lot of minutes, so somebody fouled out, I guess. But Washburn was one of the best players, which is not necessarily what you want to see. And then you had Bishop on 14 as well. So it looks like Bishop did decent on the glass at least. Rex had 13 points. And everybody else was 9 and below. So a rough game for Evans. He only played 16 minutes because he fouled out in 16 minutes. Carroll only played 32 minutes and only had 9 points. So a couple of our main starters, Westbrook included, did not play the best. Westbrook is injured though, so I'm not going to blame him. But our starting guys really let us down in that one. And yeah, they were better than us in everything except for free throws. But obviously they had a lot more free throws than us. They had 43 trips to the free throw line. We only had 27. So this is kind of back to the way we used to play, basically, where we would take way too many fouls, and obviously that would cost us games. So a rough start to the finals, but obviously there is a lot of finals left to go, so hopefully we can find a way to at least respond in the next game. As it's still recommending moving Westbrook's minutes down to 25. Westbrook's technically in the starting rotation, which is weird. Was there an injury? No, there wasn't. I'm kind of trying to remember who was in these spots. Because I think Westbrook wasn't even a starter, right? Oh, it was Semenko in that spot, right? Yeah, Semenko needs to go back to the spot for sure. And then we could probably is there anybody else I want to adjust the minutes to? I don't think I need to really adjust the minutes in other areas. Not that much, at least. We could give Washburn a couple more minutes, actually, to be honest, as he has been quite impressive. So let's knock down a minute or so, give Washburn a couple more minutes off the bench. I really like his game last game, so he could be maybe an important player for our team moving forward. Let's go 27 minutes on Westbrook just because he's hurt a bit, so we could get Washburn up to 8, and that should be good. All right, well, let's hope that this team can figure itself out. Obviously, that was a tough first game. Obviously, like I said, we haven't lost since the first round, so it's been quite a while, but that was probably our worst game of the entire playoffs for sure, and probably worst one maybe all season. I don't even know if I could go to the calendar. Can I go to the regular season calendar somewhere? I'm trying to think if I can. I don't think I can, because I was kind of wanting to just go back to the regular season and see if we ever had a loss that bad or not. But let me look at the box score for Washington in that game, because I did not do that, because I'm kind of curious on who did the work for them. So yeah, Russell had 22 points, 11 rebounds, but that's not even a crazy total to lead the team. You could see the depth scoring on them was really good. Sessions dropped 19, Simpson on 15, and then out of 4 players on 10 plus points, Dalton Connect was really good off the bench. Same goes with Sarr too, technically. And then of course Chambers had 8 points and stuff. Yeah, they had some really good depth scoring. So that's probably the difference in the game right there. But of course, Russell led the way. So I think we could definitely win a game or multiple games, of course, as long as we contain that depth scoring that they have right now. Definitely, they're a tougher team than whoever we faced last year in the finals, which honestly, for some reason, I cannot remember right now. But obviously, it would probably come to me soon. But I definitely think we could still win some games, but I do think Washington is one of the tougher teams out there. I don't know if I would have rather faced Philadelphia, though, because I think Philadelphia would have been just as tough. But we knew that the Eastern Conference was going to have a good team come out of it just because of these two matchups. But I probably would have preferred to play like a lower end team. I guess, it was Charlotte last year. So if I would have played a team that way, obviously got through the playing round, I think we'd have an easy task. But since we're going up against a legit contender, this is where it gets a little bit tougher. So anyways, a little bit of minutes adjusted here. Let's get to game 2. See if we could at least take one of these 2 games on our home court, because obviously if we lose this one, we need to find a way to win both games in Washington, or else we're going to have to come from behind. So let's see what happens in game 2. See if we could get off to a better start here and also find our offense, because right now Washington's defensive play has been a huge difference maker early on. First quarter underway. Let's get off to a good start offensively here, boys. And let's make sure that they don't run away in the game early on again like last game, because obviously that's how we end up losing as well, as they found their offense early, and obviously we didn't. So far, it looks like pretty even, but they are up by 5 points early on, which is not ideal, as we finally find a way to get some more points on the board. And now we've taken the lead, but now they've taken back the lead. This seems at least like a better first quarter in terms of us generating offense, but it still seems low scoring compared to some of the games in last round. So Obviously, we need to still find our offense, but that is an okay start as we outscored them 28-23. So I will definitely take a first quarter lead, as considering last game we did not have a single lead after the first quarter, or any quarter for that matter. But Westbrook had 12 points in that first quarter, so he's off to a really good start despite being injured. And then we have Evans on 5 points, already 2 fouls. Hopefully Evans can stay a little bit more disciplined here, because we need him to be in the lineup for the full game and not foul out so early on. Goodwin's on 4. We have Washburn on 3 off the bench. Wright's on 2. Everybody else is on 2 and below. So a couple of starters still need to do some work. Bishop, Semenko, and I think that's it. Maybe Carroll as well. But I don't like that it's only Westbrook doing work for us right now. We need other guys to step up too, because Westbrook being hurt, he shouldn't be playing as good as he is right now. But nobody else on the team is doing anything. So let's have a good second quarter and make sure that we can continue to build up this lead, because obviously there's still a lot of basketball left. Second quarter underway. But shout out to Westbrook, though, because like the fact that he's injured and he's literally putting up this much amount of points is pretty impressive, I would say. As this game seems to be definitely a lot more airtight than last game, which is good to see. At least it's a tighter game, because if it's another one of those type of routing games, obviously, then it's really hard for you to come back. Like that entire fourth quarter, we already kind of knew we were going to lose last game, so let's hopefully play a good full game here for the most part. As we are winding down this first half, it's still pretty close. Final few seconds, and at the end of the first half, it's going to be a 64-60 lead for them. They outscore us 41-32. Not necessarily a great second quarter, but at least it's still close. But I don't like that we went from leading to obviously being behind. So hopefully the third quarter is a good one for us. It was good last round, so maybe there's a chance. But Evans has dropped 15 points, no fouls in that quarter, so he at least probably should play a full game at this rate. And then we have Westbrook on 14, Carroll on 10, the other Carroll on 5, and then everybody else is 4 and below. So Rex still needs to arrive a little bit in this game. Of course, Goodwin needs to arrive. Semenko needs to arrive, and Bishop needs to arrive. Like, a lot of our starters are kind of being a little bit quiet. Like, right now, we're only in this game because of the likes of these 3 guys, I think. So, not ideal. So far, they're shooting 55%. We're shooting 43%. 3-point percentage, we're only shooting 22%. Yikes. We need to get our 3-point game going for sure. And then we're lucky that we're in this game because of the free throws. The free throws have been pretty even, but we're obviously 20 for 22, which has had us within 4. If we would have missed a couple more of them, obviously we'd be down by a lot more. So this game is still anybody's game at this point, which is good. But obviously at the same time, I would rather be up by a lot for us rather than being down by only a couple points. So anyways, let's see what happens in the third quarter. Like I said, we've had some good third quarters before. Maybe we could find a way to get the lead after this quarter if we play good. Third quarter underway. Let's have a good offensive showing here, boys, and let's get that 3-point percentage better, because obviously that's been not that great here so far in this round. And they've been able to hit more shots, of course, than us. So far, still pretty damn close throughout this entire game. Could be one of those games that maybe go to an overtime scenario unless one team starts to run away with it. Which right now we're down by 5. We need to keep this close, boys. We need to get that offense going again. We're down by 6 points. I don't like that they're starting to run away with it. They're up by 10 points. God damn it. Now we're starting to fall apart here at the end of the third. We're going to be down by 12 going into the fourth quarter. It was close until it wasn't. Obviously, there's still a good chance we could get back into this game. But this third quarter really screwed us over. And obviously that second quarter too, for that matter. But 99-87. Usually I always say the first team to get to 100 points is usually the team that wins, and that could be the case here. But Evans is on 24 points, so he's having a good game. Carroll's on 17. Westbrook's on 16. Was great in the first quarter. It's been quieter since, but he's still been good. Rex still only has 7 points. I need more from Rex for sure. Bishop I need more from. Semenko I need a lot more from. So what was good for us last round, our depth scoring, has not been as good in this round so far. We need to have a huge fourth quarter here. We're down by basically 4 possessions. We need to go on a run here and make this like a 1-possession game, and then who knows what could happen from there. So, fourth quarter underway. Can we get back into this game, or is our team going to start just floundering for offense, which right now seems to be the case, because our team is just not picking up points, and they're picking up points. They're over 20 points up on us almost again. God damn it, man. Well, our team fell apart in these last 2 quarters, or last 3 quarters for that matter. but looks like Washington is going to come into our building and steal 2 games on the road. I don't know what's making them so much tougher than these other opponents, but I knew they were going to win games. But our team has just had a really tough time scoring against them, and I think it's the points allowed per game. That's a huge difference in this one, as we end up losing by 18, despite winning over after the first quarter and only being down by a couple points after the first half. But then we fell apart in the second half, and that's the difference in the game. Wow, that sucks. That sucks a lot. Because I thought we would maybe be able to at least keep it close for the most part of it, and then of course we did not have a good second half, so that is quite rough, but Evans at least was good in that game. Same with Carroll, both on 27 and 25 points. Westbrook on 18 is pretty good, but Wright took a long time to pick up points. Goodwin only had 10. Semenko had 8 and 9, so he was distributing balls well. He was rebounding well, but he did not pick up a lot of points. Bishop only on 7. And then, of course, Washburn only had 3 off the bench. So, yeah, that's not ideal. That's a tough game. That's a tough game again. I knew they were going to be a tough threat, and I think also a difference is the fact that we foul a lot more than they do. Obviously, it was close in this game, but last game, obviously, it wasn't. So, we might need to readjust some stuff with the rotation. Obviously, probably hurts as well the fact that Westbrook's a little bit hurt right now, but I did not expect to lose the first 2 games on our home court, because now we got to win both games in Washington probably, or else we're going to have to have a huge comeback, which is doable. But obviously, it's going to be a tough task against a good team like that. All right, so we're down 0-2. We need to win both games in Washington. What do we want to do with the minutes? Obviously, Westbrook's still hurt. Trying to think if there's a way I could get this team to simulate a little bit better here. I feel like we could probably give some of these other bench options maybe some playing time. So let's knock down Westbrook's minutes to 25. We'll put Goodwin back up to 23 like it's suggesting. Bishop to 30. We'll go Semenko on 27. Evans on 36. We'll go to Wright on 33. And Carroll on 30. Which gives us an extra 10 minutes. We'll put Carroll up by 2 or 4, I guess. We'll go Washburn up by a little bit. Actually, it's suggesting 14 for Bridges here. But I don't really like Bridges' play for the most part. Let's go all those guys on 10. And I'm going to give Anderson 6 minutes off the bench instead of Olivero. Because Anderson is a guy that was drafted first round last year. Maybe he could give us some points in a way. He is a good 3-point shooter if I remember right. Let's double check that. Because obviously we need the offense a little bit off the bench too. But if we look at his 3-point shooting, actually it's not that great right now. His mid-range shot is actually pretty good though. So maybe we could get some points from him in the mid-range. And then his perimeter defense is good too. So maybe he could come off the bench and play a good defender. Keep the game closer at least. So that's what we're going to do in terms of minute adjustment. Is basically go with the suggested. And then of course give a couple minutes to some more guys off the bench. So hopefully our team can find a way to win at least one of these games in Washington, because they're also, like I said, we're going to have to come back from either 3-0, 3-1, or if we win both these games, at least then it'll be tied again. So far, this is definitely our toughest task. Like I said, let's find a way to win this next game, or else it's going to be a huge hill to climb. And hopefully somebody like Anderson could be decent in this game. Because if Anderson plays good off the bench in those 6 minutes, that could be the difference between us winning and losing a game. So let's see what happens. First quarter underway. Let's hopefully have a better first quarter. Last game was somewhat close. First game was not very good. Hopefully we could find a way to at least have the lead after the first half in general. So first quarter underway. And like I said, if we find a way to at least win one of these games, we'll be back in the series. If we lose this game, of course, though, a lot of work to do for the team. But yeah, Washington, they did knock out Philadelphia, who's a really good team. So kind of makes sense that they'd play good against us as well. But obviously, I expected our teams to have a little bit more fight in them than they currently have. And we're kind of flailing a little bit here in the first quarter again, which is not ideal. And at the end of the first quarter, looks like we're starting to get back into this game. It is going to be a 30-25 lead for them. So they've done a really good job at shutting down our players. That's basically the difference, I feel like, in this game right now, and the series for the most part. But so far after the first quarter, not a lot of guys on high-end points, but we do have good depth scoring going. Evans is on 4, Westbrook as well, Goodwin. Then we have Carroll and Wright on 3, the other Carroll on 2, Bishop on 2, Bridges on 2. Anderson's already got 1 and 2 rebounds and 2 assists. That's actually pretty good. And then Semenko's got nothing, and Washburn the same thing. So it looks like a lot of different players are picking up points, which is good. The fact that Semenko already has 5 rebounds is kind of insane, but obviously we need more points scoring out of him. Last game he didn't do much offensively, and so far he's not doing much in this game either. All right, let's see what happens in the second quarter, see if we can make this game closer. Obviously, it's only a 5-point game, so it is still close, but obviously we don't want to be trailing by a lot going into the second half, so we need to play good in this quarter if we can. Second quarter underway. Come on, boys. Let's see if we can get that lead. We've been playing a little bit better basketball as of late. There we go. At least now we're starting to trade the lead back and forth, which is much better than being down by 5 points. Now we have the lead. All right. Can we keep on to this lead? Now they take the lead back. It's going to be a back and forth scenario for a while, isn't it? Seems like it. But yeah, it's really tough to contain their team. Really tough. And they are really good at containing our offense for the most part. Because at the end of the first half, it is going to be a score of 61-57. Okay, we do have the lead after the first half, which is the first time it's been like that all series, so that's really good to see. We're only up by 4 points, though, so it is still anybody's game at this point, so we got to be careful on that. But so far, Westbrook's dropped 10 points, Carroll's on 9, Wright's on 8, and then everybody else is 7 and below. So far, been very disappointed with like Evans and Semenko and stuff like that in this finals. But Anderson's got 5 points off the bench, so he's at least helped us out a little bit. Bishop's having a tough time, too, in this game. Only 2 points and only 3 rebounds. So a couple of our starters really need to pick it up a bit, because obviously we're only winning by 4 points, but those 4 points are basically just because of the fact that we have maybe a couple points from guys like Anderson. If Anderson didn't have any points in this game, we'd be trailing. So, like I said, bench points are pretty important. And then if we look at team comparison right now, we're shooting 64%, they're shooting 47%. We are 33% from three-point range. Same with them, the exact same, 4 for 12. And in free throws, they are better than us. They've had a lot more trips to the free throw line. They've got 19 for 24. We're 7 for 10. So right now, seems like that discipline is definitely a factor in the series, like it was a few years ago when we played a team in the playoffs. We do have a lot more defensive rebounds than them in this game, but they surprisingly have more offensive rebounds, which doesn't happen very often. So we are leading this game, but it's still anybody's game in the second half. Let's make sure we could get some guys going a bit in the second half. If Evans and all that stay quiet, it's going to be tougher and tougher for us to win this game. Let's see what happens. Third quarter underway. Can we build up a bigger lead here? Because obviously it is still airtight, and I don't really like these tight games. They're a little bit nerve-wracking. So far, looks like we're playing pretty good offensively in this quarter. We are trying to build up a lead, but they're staying with us point for point, so to speak. But now we're up by 10 points. All right. That's pretty good to have a 10-point lead at this point in time, but obviously it's still close, so can't be sitting back too much. Because obviously it looks like they're trying to build back into this game again, as they typically do. And at the end of the third quarter, it's going to be an 87-82 game. It's only a 5-point game still. And it looked like when we were up by 10, that maybe it'd be easier for us to run away with it, but we kind of sat back a little bit. We only outscored them 26-25 in that quarter. So this is anybody's game going into the fourth. If we could somehow win this game by even a point, we could give ourselves momentum for next game. So got to find a way to do it. Carroll's already fouled out. God damn it, man. I hate it when some people foul out on our team so easily, but it is what it is. We do have 4 players on 10-plus points, which is good. But some people like Bishop, for instance, has been still kind of quiet. Semenko kind of has been as well. So I need a little bit more out of them, especially with the fact that Carroll's already fouled out, because obviously he's one of our better players. All right, so it's been an airtight game for the most part. We do have the lead, which is good, but it was by a lot more, and now it's back to basically where it was at one point in time already. So we have a big fourth quarter here. Make sure that we don't go too long without picking up any points, or else that's when they could take the lead back. So let's have a strong fourth quarter here. Find a way to win this, even if it's by 1-2 point shot, something like that. We got to find a way to win, or else we got to win 4 straight games, which is easier said than done. So let's see what happens. Fourth quarter underway. Can we pick up some points early? Looks like we can, which is good so far, but obviously it's still a close game. We're up by over 10 points. That's a huge way to start off this fourth quarter for our team. And Washington is not getting their offense going in this fourth quarter, which is huge. We're starting to build up a huge lead because of this fourth quarter. And it looks like we're actually going to take a game in Washington, which is good to see to start off with. Obviously, we got to find a way to win next game still too. But the fourth quarter was our best quarter. And your Anchorage Ice Tigers are going to win its first game of the finals, 124-106. So almost a 20-point victory. We outscored them 37-24 in the fourth. So that's a huge, huge game for us. And it looks like Evans had a huge fourth quarter because I don't remember how many points he had, but drops 27 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, so almost a triple-double. Westbrook dropped 22 despite being injured. I don't know why he's always our best player despite being injured. We have Wright on 17 points, a big answer for Rex from last game. Goodwin on 12, Carroll obviously on 11 before he fouled out. Semenko dropped 10, 9, and 7, almost a triple-double for him too. He did foul out, though, after 27 minutes. Washburn on 9 off the bench. Anderson on 5, 3, and 3 is nice. Carroll on 5, 2, and 1. And in Bishop, only 3, 5, and 1 is pretty low. He did foul out after 20 minutes. And then Bridges played 11 minutes with 3 points. All right, team comparison. We shot 57% to their 44. They are better in three-point percentage, but we did hit one more three-point shot than they did. And in free throws, they had a lot more trips to the free throw line, but we won. So they had 19 more trips to the free throw line. But yeah, like I said, we ended up winning by this big of a margin. So offensive rebounds were even. Defensive rebounds were in our favor. So that's an interesting game. The fact that we took a game in Washington is huge, like I said, because now if we can find a way to win the next one, we'll be back to tied. Obviously, if we lose the next one, we still have a huge hill to climb, but that's a good way to start coming back, hopefully, in the series. Hopefully it is. I think we want to keep probably our game plan the same in terms of minutes. I think I like the way the team played in that one. Like giving Anderson some minutes has been decent. So I think we're going to probably keep the minutes the same. But obviously, once Westbrook's back to full health, maybe we'll adjust it even more so. But Westbrook's been actually better than Semenko has been. So I think by that logic, I'm actually going to move Semenko to the sixth man. And Westbrook's going to play in as a starter instead. And I'm going to swap the two of their minutes around. I just have not been super impressed with Semenko's offense for the most part. Meanwhile, Westbrook, if we look at his stats the last few games, he has been definitely pretty consistent. 22 and 18 points. Obviously, his first game, he only had 6 points, but he's been, I'd say, a lot better than Semenko because Semenko has got 10, 8, and 17. So, first game was good for him, but then the other two games, not so much. Looks like he's almost gotten a triple-double the last two games, which is pretty impressive, though. So, I guess technically we could keep it the same, but we're just going to make that as a subtle adjustment. Or actually, let's give both of them the exact same amount of minutes, 26 apiece, just to keep it even. All right, let's get going into Game 4, see if we could tie the series up. Obviously, if we lose this game, we're down 3-1. We win this game, it'll be a best of 3 going forward. But this is an interesting final so far. I definitely think this could go to 7 games at this point. And if it does, it'll be probably a really long episode, but with that said, let's get to Game 4, see what we could do here in Washington, see if we could tie the series up and win both games in their home arena. First quarter underway, and hopefully we get off to a good start again here, because obviously, like I said, the first few games we trailed by a decent chunk after the first, or actually the second game, I guess we didn't, but as long as we get our offense going early in games and we could keep that going throughout the entire game, that could definitely help us in terms of tying the series up. So far, it looks like we're off to a pretty good start offensively compared to some other games in the past. And we have right now a 9-point advantage, which is pretty good early on here. And at the end of the first, it's going to be 36-27. So that's a 9-point advantage. That's probably the best first quarter we've had, I think, this entire series, which is nice. Good way to start off, but obviously a lot of basketball left to go. So far, Evans is already on 10 points, so it looks like Evans is starting to take over in the series a little bit. Washburn's got 9 points off the bench again. He's been really good. And then Westbrook only on 4, Bishop on 4, Semenko on 3, Carroll on 2. The other Carroll's on 2, same with Goodwin. Wright's got nothing so far, but I do expect him to heat up as the game goes on as well, and nothing from Anderson. So the main difference in this game right now has been the fact that Washburn's got 9 points off the bench, or else this game would be even. So once again, bench players are fairly important to winning games. So we're up by 9. Let's see what happens in the second quarter and see if we can build up a bigger lead, or is it going to be closer by the end of the first half. Second quarter underway. Let's see what we could do here. So far, they get the first few points in this quarter, which is not great. As they're back within 3, all of a sudden, oh man, their offense is all of a sudden doing really good. I don't really like the way we're playing defensively in the second quarter. And now they've taken the lead. Oh boy, I knew that was going to come eventually just because they've been playing a lot better than us in this quarter. We've been playing flat in the second. But at least we're still close because we had a good first. But yeah, this second quarter could be the difference in the entire game. As we got outscored 32-15 in the quarter. we got the first 3 of the third quarter, so that's at least good to see. But the fact that we're trailing in this game, not ideal. Not ideal. Evans is only on 13 points now, so he only dropped 3 points in that quarter. Washburn's still second on the team in points right now, which is not necessarily great because you want to have your starters doing well. And so far, Westbrook's only on 7, Carroll's only on 6. We have 5 from Semenko, 4 from Bishop. Goodwin's on 4. Wright's only on 2. Yeah, a lot of the starters are taking their time off, which is not good. And so far, I mean, both teams are hitting their field goals, which is good, but they've been a lot better in three-point percentage. We're 5 for 17. They're 4 for 5. And in free throws, they are a lot better than us right now. We've only had 5 trips to the free throw line. God damn. I don't know if the refs are on their side or what, but that's actually crazy. So right now, they are very disciplined, and we aren't, I guess. Oh, well. We are only down by 5. Let's see what happens in this third quarter. Like I said, we got the first 3 of the third, so maybe we could start to get back that lead again if we play good in it. So I don't like that we're trailing, but let's see if we can build back into this game. Third quarter underway. Come on, guys. Keep this close. Keep it as airtight as possible, which we are doing here to start. As this looks like this could be the game where it changes back in terms of the lead back and forth for a little bit. But now they're up by 10. God damn it, that's not good. We're sitting back a little bit. Our offense isn't doing anything. And it looks like we're probably going to be still trailing going into the fourth quarter as we're trying to make sure that they don't run too far ahead. And at the end of 3, looks like we're starting to get back into this game again. It is going to be an 86-83 game. All right, so that was a good end to that third quarter. Very good end. As we were down by, I think, close to 10 points. And then all of a sudden, it's now a 3-point game. So we're still in this one. We're still in it. Don't count us out just yet. Evans is on 18 points. We have Semenko on 14, so a big quarter from Semenko. Carroll's on 13. Westbrook's on 11. So Semenko probably will get more minutes next game. Washburn on 9. And then everybody else is 6 and below. Still need more probably out of Bishop and Wright especially. But I do like that at least this game is closer. The fact that Wright only has 2 points is pretty insane considering earlier in the playoffs he had like a triple-double and all that. So I need those starters to do well in this fourth quarter and help us find a way to win this one. If we could find a way to win it, even like I said, by a point, we could have this series tied up. So we need to get off to a good start. Fourth quarter underway. And looks like we have taken the lead. Okay, that's a good way to start it off. But obviously, we need to make sure that they don't get points going considerably up on us because or else that's going to be tough to come back from. As once again, it's back to even. Man, these last few games have been pretty scary. Pretty scary. We're starting to build up a bit of a lead here. Up by 8 points. Up by almost 10 points. This is a great run from this team in the fourth quarter. And I think that might help us win this game here. Yep, I think we're going to win because of a really strong fourth quarter. Maybe the strongest fourth quarter we've had all playoffs as we held them to maybe under 10 points. Yes, we held them to under 10 points. We win 119-95, outscoring them 36-9. That's insane. That is a really great quarter. And it looks like there was an injury, though, to Carroll. And that's not great. It says, pains us to report that Carroll suffered a twisted right ankle and will be out for the season. So we might have just lost our number 1 point guard in going into game 5. But we do have a tie series at least. But Carroll being hurt is absolutely detrimental. The fact that we won that is not. So a little bit of a bittersweet win for sure. But at least we won that game because of a dominant fourth. Looks like Carroll's injury is also playable, though, so we can play him and Westbrook, both injured, I guess. But Evans drops 22 points, Carroll on 21, Westbrook on 19, Semenko on 18, and then everybody else was 11 and below, but looks like we got some pretty good depth scoring. Wright got 3 sevens, 7 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, so maybe he just won on a slot machine or something like that, but that's a nice win. That's a nice win. Like I said, that fourth quarter, we came alive a bit. They were still better than us in three-point percentage, but we were, I guess we had more trips to the free throw line that could have helped things a bit. And the fact that we shot 43 out of 80, and they shot 33 out of 83 is the difference, probably. And if we look at, like, rebounding, defensive rebounds, we had 41 defensive rebounds. They had 22. So our rebounding has been huge in this series, I guess, the last few games. So nice to see that we have a tie series, but like I said, Carroll being hurt kind of sucks. Do we want to put him in the lineup while he's hurt? It does say out for the season, but it is a playable injury. It looks like Lloyd should be back soon too. He is on a playable injury now, so we can put Lloyd back in on the bench as well, which is good. But Carroll being hurt obviously does make me think we should reduce his minutes a little bit, even though he was good last game. Because Rex could probably... Obviously, we're going to play Rex a good chunk. Let's go Carroll and Westbrook both on 27 minutes. And I'm going to swap, though, get Semenko in there a little bit more. We got one more minute to put on this, so we'll put... I guess, like I said, we could give Lloyd some minutes. Looks like Lloyd is getting more minutes now. Washburn's not getting any minutes. I do like the way Washburn's been playing, though, is the thing. So, do I want to reduce minutes on any of these guys a little bit? I guess I can. Just to get Washburn in a couple minutes of each game, because I still feel like he's been effective for us. So, we'll drop a couple minutes down and get Washburn at least 5 minutes in this game. Lloyd will actually get the play back in the lineup with his fractured eye socket. Hopefully he could actually see still out of that eye. And then Westbrook will be playing still as that 6-man even though he's injured. Carroll will still be playing starting minutes even though he's injured. But we got to run with these injured players. We can't be taking him out at this point or else we're end up losing this finals easily. So I think that's good. But obviously it kind of sucks to have injuries and deal with those in this finals. But we've won 2 straight games. We won both games in Washington. They won both games in Anchorage. So hopefully we can find a way to win the first, be the first team to win a home game in the series and take a 3-2 series lead. So I think we're ready to get into this one. Let's see what we could do with this half beaten up team. 3 guys that are going to be playing in the lineup are all dealing with injuries. But we have to deal with it because it's the finals. If these guys were obviously in the red, we wouldn't be able to play them. But we're kind of lucky that they're in the yellow. So let's see if we could win a game in front of our fans and take a 3-2 series lead here. Let's see what happens. First quarter underway. Because Westbrook's played pretty good injured. So if Carroll could do the same type of thing while he's injured, that would be really good for our confidence. And obviously, Lloyd's not going to be playing a ton of minutes anyway, so he's going to be one of these guys that just maybe could help us get a couple points off the bench, but he's not going to be as important to this game as Carroll and Westbrook, I don't think. Depends on, I guess, if other people go down with injuries and all that, and he gets more playing time or people foul out. So at the end of the first quarter, we're going to have a 31-22 lead, so it looks like our team has come alive a little bit in the series. Because obviously being down 0-2 that did not look the best, but looks like we're starting to see the version of our team we saw during the regular season, which is good. In terms of the point leaders after the first quarter, Carroll up on 8. Westbrook's actually technically fully healthy now because he's in the green, so that's good. I guess he'll be fully healthy for next game. But he's on 6 points. Evans is on 5. Goodwin's on 4. Semenko on 4. Looks like we're getting our depth scoring, which is good. Lloyd's actually got 2 points and 4 rebounds off the bench. Nice. All right, Rex has nothing so far. Either does Bishop, so need a little bit more out of those two. But so far, injured players seem to be playing okay, which is nice. All right, second quarter underway. Let's continue to build up this lead here, boys. Continue to build up the lead. Because I don't like it when we sit back too long and don't pick up points, because that's obviously when the other team starts to get back into games. So we got to make sure that we're not sitting back too long. Because like if we go more than like a few minutes without scoring, like I said, that's when they usually get back within single digits, and then they could find a way to flip-flop the lead back and forth. So, looks like we're up by 10 points right now, so we're still playing pretty damn good early on in this one. Obviously, a lot of basketball left to go, though, so we got to make sure to keep our foot on the gas. As now it's only like a 2-point game, so they're almost back in, and that's kind of scary all of a sudden. And at the end of the first half, it's going to be a score of 61-53. All right, so that did look very nerve-wracking early, because it was a 2-point game, but now all of a sudden we've almost built up a 10-point lead again. So a bit of an inconsistent second quarter. They outscored 31-30, but we do have the lead going into the second half. So Carroll's leading away with 14 points. We have Semenko on 10, Goodwin on 9, Wright's on 7 now. Looks like Rex is starting to pick it up a bit. Westbrook on 6, only 5 from Evans, but I do expect him to get going again in the second half. Bishop on only 4 points, Lloyd on 4 off the bench is nice. Bridges on 2. Nothing from Carroll or Washburn, but that's okay. Washburn's kind of a weird player. Like, he has some really strong games off the bench, but other games he's not very good. And then in terms of field goal percentage, you could see that we are 63%, they're 46%. We're shooting 50% from three-point range. They're not shooting that ball that well, but we've only put up 8 3-point shots all game so far. And then free throws are even. We're 9 for 12, they're 15 for 20, so they've had a lot more trips again to the free throw line. but we're still up in this game. And right now, our rebounding is still making a huge difference. We got 25 rebounds. They only have 13 combined. So this is a good game so far, but obviously still a lot of game left to go. Let's make sure we keep on building on this lead and not let them get back into this game. Let's see what happens. Third quarter underway. Like I said, don't go too long without picking up points like we kind of are doing a little bit right now. But we're still trying to make sure that they don't get back into this. There's over a 10-point lead again. Okay, I like that. But obviously, we got to make sure that we have this lead going into the fourth. Because if we don't, of course, or if it's close, that makes it a bit more nerve-wracking. But right now, it looks like we're at least matching them point for point. Because we're consistently holding on to a 10-point lead. But now all of a sudden they're within 6. That's a little bit scary all of a sudden near the end of this third. And at the end of the third, it's actually going to be a more closer game again. It's going to be a 198 lead. Wow. That was probably one of the worst scores we had in a while, allowing 45 points. I like that we scored 39, but it was like at one point we were up by 10 again. Then they kept clawing back. Like they keep on pushing back in this game for sure. And it's only a 2-point game going into the fourth, so we might be in for a doozy. It might be an overtime type of game. So far, Semenko's on 20 points, so Carroll's on 17 despite being hurt. Goodwin's on 14, Evans and Wright are on 13, and Westbrook too. So we're getting our depth scoring as we did during the first few rounds of the playoffs, but obviously we need to make sure that we stay disciplined, because obviously I think that's been probably a problem for most of the playoffs. Or actually this round specifically, because they've had 35 trips to the free throw line now. We've only had 23. We're still doing better in terms of 3-point percentage and also field goal percentage, which is nice, but it is an airtight game at this point. And if we go to rebounding, they have 20 combined rebounds. We have 29, so I guess they got maybe a lot more rebounds in that quarter, and that's why this game is close again. I'm not too sure. But we need a big fourth quarter here. Like I said, we're only up by 2 points, so it's anybody's game. I'm a little bit nervous for this fourth quarter, but whoever wins this game is going to be one win away from the NBA championship. So let's find a way to get it done. Let's find a way. Fourth quarter underway as we do get our first bucket. That's good to see, but still looks like both teams keeping it close. Hopefully we could start to build up a big lead, because that'd be a little bit more of a sigh of relief. Looks like we're starting to build it up. We're up by 10 plus points. All right. Looks like at least we're having a good fourth quarter here. Still 5 plus minutes though. So we got to make sure not to sit back too long, because we know that they have the offense to get back into games. All of a sudden, it's a 6-point game. It's a 3-point game again within the final minute. Oh my goodness, we sat back way too long. Let's go to slow sim speed, because they are within 1 possession. We need to hit our next shot, hopefully. And we do. Okay, we're up by 4. They might have fouled. We're up by 5. All right, that's good. We're up by 3 points with 19 seconds to go. They're going to have to intentionally foul on this play. So hopefully whoever goes to the free throw line will hit. Come on. Oh, we did, and we won. And I didn't mean to press that, but that's okay. We did end up winning. Let's go to the box score here. As we end up winning 123 to 118, win by 5 points. Westbrook, the difference maker in that game, as we've won 3 straight now. Evans on 21 points, Semenko on 20. We got Carroll on 19. Right on 16, 6, and 13. 13 assists is fantastic. Goodwin on 14. Bishop has been pretty mid in this playoffs, and he fouled out again, which is not great, but that's a big victory for our team on the road. Or not on the... Was it on the road? No, it was on home court. So we are the first team to win on our home court. Looks like they got some good depth scoring as well, so it's a pretty even matchup in terms of depth scoring on both teams, but we find a way to get it done. I did not mean to click on all those things, so that kind of sucks that we end up exiting out of it, but it is what it is. At least we have the series in lead. And let's go back to coaching game plan here. Yeah, Westbrook should be fully healthy for this next game. So let's actually just go here to the second and simulate Simcast just to see if it actually gets rid of that green thing from Westbrook, which it does. That's fantastic. We are going to swap the minutes again on Semenko and Westbrook. And we're almost back to full health except for Carroll, I guess, and Lloyd, technically. Washburn, it did take away his minutes again. But I think I'm okay with taking away his minutes again. Let's see. Do I want to take away his minutes? I know that he could be a very important player off the bench occasionally. So you know what? Let's actually still give Washburn a couple minutes off the bench. I don't really like the way Bishop's played, but I don't know if I should reduce his minutes. I don't think I should. I feel like I should give Washburn at least a few minutes so he can maybe pick up a couple points. So we're going to do that just to kind of make him still happy, because I think Washburn might be a player that plays higher in our lineup next season. So I want him to still be playing a good chunk. But that should be good. All right. Well, our team is one game away from winning the NBA championship and winning 4 straight games against the Wizards. It didn't start off easy, but obviously now the fact that we have a series lead is huge for us. We just got to find a way to win 4 quarters, and we could win the series. So, with that said, Game 6, we knew it was going to be a harder series. I like that our team's been able to push back in it. Can we find a way to win this game in Washington? We've won 2 before. Let's find a way to do it again. First quarter underway. And hopefully we get off to a good start here. Yes, if we get off to a good start, it'll be a lot easier for us, especially going forward. But I do expect Washington to push hard in this one as well, just like we did last game. So, wonder how this game is going to go. If it's going to be one of those close games all game, or if some team's just going to completely run away with it. We've seen a lot of that in the series. It's just back and forth type of play for the most part. And at the end of the first quarter, as we're winding down, we will be having a lead at least. 32-22, a 10-point lead already is really good. But obviously we know they have the offense that they could push back. So got to keep it up in the second for sure. But so far, Wright's on 6 points. We have Westbrook and Washburn on 6 points. So the 3 W's with all 6 points apiece and 1 rebound, which is kind of funny. Semenko's on 5, Bishop's on 4, Evans only on 2. Bridges on 2, Goodwin on 1, Carroll nothing, Lloyd nothing, the other Carroll nothing, and that's it. All right, so far depth scoring looks pretty good, off to a good start, which means maybe some better stats going on forward. Let's see what happens in the second quarter, see if we can build up a bigger lead than 10 points, because like I said, 10 points is still pretty damn tight. Let's see what happens. All right. A lot of basketball left to go. Just got to find a way to keep our foot on the gas and not go too long without picking up points, because like I said, that's usually when teams start to rally. Looks like we're doing really good here right now, but we still have a second half to play after this. So I want to make sure our team is consistent and not sitting back like they do occasionally, which they kind of are doing a little bit right now, because it's all of a sudden getting kind of tight again. That's definitely where our team starts to fail, is when they allow a couple points in a row. And at the end of the first half, it is going to be 4 seconds left in it. There you go, 66-59. So we are up by 7 points, but it's obviously not as much as the first quarter. They outscore us 37-34, but this is still pretty tight. And so far, Evans is on 15 points. I don't know who technically should be the favorite for the championship MVP if we do win, because it's been a bit inconsistent with our player numbers. But Evans has been coming alive as of late, so I feel like maybe he can win it again. Rex is on 14 points. We have Semenko on 7, and everybody else is 6 and below. So I still need a couple other guys to start stepping up a little bit here, because some guys have been kind of too quiet, like Carroll. Well, not that Carroll. Bishop has been kind of quiet a bit. This Carroll has been kind of quiet, I guess. Westbrook's been kind of quiet. Semenko. It's been mainly because of Evans and Wright why we're winning this game. So, in terms of the first half, though, right now, looks like both teams are shooting well for field goal percentage over 50% apiece. They're 1 for 9 from three-point range, so that's a big difference in this game right now. If they would have hit a lot more of those three-pointers, they'd be winning. And in free throws right now, they're doing a lot better than us. They're 89% or 67%. So, we have 24 combined rebounds. They have 17. All right. So I think what we need to make sure on is that we don't give them anything going in terms of their three-point game, because if they get their three-point game going, that's when they could take the lead and win this game. So can we hold on to this lead going into the fourth quarter? Let's have a good third quarter here. Let's build up a bigger lead so we feel safer. Third quarter underway. And so far they get the first 2 points of the quarter, which is not great. But as long as we manage to get point for point, basically, and now they are not going to take the lead, we're making sure that they don't take that lead. Oh my goodness, this is an airtight game again. I didn't want it to be a game like this. I didn't want it to be, but now we're starting to build up a 10-point advantage. So all of a sudden our team comes alive after it was close for a little bit, as it's very offensive this third quarter. And we are trying to put up as much points as possible. And at the end of 3, we're going to have a 105-92 lead, a 13-point lead. It looked very close when they tied it up multiple times, but didn't our team flip the script And now we're up by 13, which is a pretty big advantage. Obviously, still a lot of time left, but that's a really good way to end that fourth quarter, or third quarter, I should say. And Rex is doing all his work. 27 points for Rex in this one. Evans on 21. Semenko 13. Looks like our starters are coming alive again in this game. Except for Bishop, who, like I said, has been pretty bad. He has not fouled out yet in this game, but he's been probably one of our worst starters in this playoff so far to this point in time. So let's look at the team comparison. Looks like their three-point game isn't getting much better. Our three-point game isn't crazy either, but at least in terms of field goal percentage, like we hit 5 more shots than they have. They have also been actually technically better still on the free throw line, which is interesting. So major difference in this game is the fact that we've been able to hit some 3-point shots. We've hit 6 more 3-pointers than them, which is technically 18 more points, right? So that's the difference in this game right there, is the 3-point shooting. And if we look at the rebounding right now, we have 36 combined rebounds. They only have 25. So our rebounding game at least has been really strong and evident in most of these games, I should say. All right, well, we need to have a good fourth quarter here. If we have a good fourth quarter here, we'll be NBA champions for the second consecutive season. So fourth quarter underway. If it ends up being a chance for us to win it, we'll probably jump in and watch, which right now looks like we're not giving them anything offensively to start, which is huge because it'll obviously help us lock this game down. I think we might almost have it in the bag, potentially, unless our team all of a sudden just drops off a cliff, which has happened in the past, so I won't count them out just yet. But we're still up by like 13 points. And we're going to go to slow sim speed here. I think we're going to already jump in and watch. Let's stop the simulation for a second. Let's jump on in. Watch this last 3 minutes. We're up by 14 points. Should have this in the bag. Should have it. Because they're going to have to intentionally foul and all that. So looks like we should have 4 straight wins to win the NBA championship, which, like I said, early on looked like we weren't going to win it because of the fact that we lost the first 2 games. But obviously our team has that experience factor from last year, and they took it into this one. Let's see what ends up happening in this last little bit. Sessions will start off with the ball, as we're going to play hard defense, hopefully, on him. Passed over to Black. Black for 3. He hits. That's not ideal, but it is still an 11-point game. They are going to probably play a little bit aggressive on the offensive side, offensive side of things, or defensive. Carroll will take time off the clock because obviously all these seconds are very precious for Washington. Passed over to Evans. Evans will run inside, trying to break down the defense. He usually is really good and tight. He will not hit that one, but we're still up by 11. Let's make sure that we take as long as we can on the shot clock, guys. They're going to want to be rushing up shots as fast as possible because they're down by so much. Bernard Russell is right there, trying to get past Evans, and he'll put it up. Damn. All of a sudden, it is a 9-point game with 2 minutes left. It's only a 3-possession game, so we got to be careful here. They're trying to get us to get one of those violations. Good pass up there to Evans. Evans, don't rush him, man. Don't rush it. He's trying to put it up, and he'll hit that. That's a tough shot. Puts us up by 11 again. He's up to 30 points in the game. 20 of his points have been in the paint. Evans is a machine down there. But that's a huge 2 points at this point in the game. Russell will throw up a random shot. He'll miss it. Good rebound for Westbrook. And that should probably nail the coffin for them. Put the nail in the coffin. There's a pass over to Bishop, and he will hit that one off the glass. That was high off the glass, too. Nice play. Yeah, that's definitely locked it down now. Well, I'm happy this team's able to find a way to win back-to-back. Obviously, was a tough start to the series, but I think this team could be a complete dynasty. Obviously, the fact that we've won back-to-back might put us in dynasty territory already, but I think this team, if we can contain our roster going into next season, could win another one. But there is some big pending free agents that I don't know how we're going to re-sign them, but I hope that I could re-sign everybody on this team and just continue to hold on to them, because what a team this has been to win back-to-back championships. And like, we've only been to the playoffs like 5 times and we've won 2 championships, which is the insane thing. So a lot of great players we've drafted in the series, and they've all come together nicely to help win these games. Like, it's going to be interesting when they retire and all that, and how much of these players actually have their numbers retired by our team, that type of thing. This is the first time I think we're going to win the championship on the road, though, right? Because I think last year we won it on home court, if I think. Maybe we didn't win on home court. Maybe it was in Charlotte. No, it was in Charlotte, I think, actually. So we still have not won in front of our fans, but that's okay. Wow, that was a nice three-pointer by Rex. Clean shot. And your Anchorage Ice Tigers, even though they don't play on the ice, are going to win their second consecutive NBA championship as they take out the Wizards, even though the Wizards just hit the last shot of the game. Let's friggin' go. All these guys on the team, two-time champions, except for a couple of the bench options, of course. But the difference, I think, with this team has been the fact that we got Evans a few years ago in the draft, and he's helped take that team from pretender to contender. And obviously, back-to-back champions is really, really impressive. Last year, knocking out the Hornets. This year, taking out the Wizards. As our boys celebrate, the Wizards looking sad, of course. But what a year for this team again. As there's our head coach. Hopefully he doesn't retire at any point, because that could be really bad for us. But whatever his name is, something Dennis. I can't remember his first name. But there's the boys celebrating, all of them with their tattoos that have tattoos. There's a couple of guys with a lot of them. Don't know who all of them are, but I do see Anderson, who was that pick that we drafted last year. So glad he got a couple of games in this finals. And next year, maybe he'll be a higher overall because of that. And there it is. There's the pass over to Rex Wright, who will hold the championship trophy. Last year, I think they passed to the Evans, if I'm not mistaken, but Rex will hold on to it there, and then he'll throw it over to Bishop, I think that is, if I'm not mistaken. But still, Rex Wright totally looks like Aaron Judge or something like that. It's kind of hilarious. Like uncanny resemblance. And Rex is going to be the MVP this year, the playoffs. All right. I think it's because he had some really good games early on, but it's also the finals MVP, so it's only from this series, basically, right? I'm not sure, but wow. Rex Wright is the MVP. It's not Evans. Evans tapping him and taking a photo of him. That's only fitting just because, obviously, Evans won it last year. But what a year for the team, and we have won it back-to-back. Let's go. Let's friggin' go. All right, box score in this game. Bernard Russell did what he could for Washington, but they could not win. And they also got points from guys like Black, Connect, and Simpson, but looks like it was a tough time for their point guard. Or did he get hurt? Where is he? Or what? Oh, no, it was a tough game for him. He only had 6 points. That's who I was looking for. But in terms of our player stats, Rex dropped 35 points. So yeah, Rex got playoff MVP because of this game, I think. Looks like he had a really big third quarter and fourth quarter. Evans on 30 points. The two of these guys are like the Splash Brothers recreated. Rex is like Curry almost in a sense, maybe not fully. Evans is like Clay in some ways maybe, but not really either because Evans plays good and tight, so I'm not sure. But those two have been fantastic. And then Carroll on 18, 6, and 9. We had Semenko on 13, 2, and 6. Westbrook on 10 and 6. And then everybody else was 8 and below, but just an all-around great team effort. Everybody on the team picked up points in this last game except for Lloyd, who played 9 minutes. But once again, he had a fractured eye socket, so it kind of makes sense that obviously he wouldn't be picking up points. But nice win there. Let's actually go to team comparison as well in this game so you guys can take a look at the breakdown, just in case you wanted to see by each quarter in terms of how each team played. But we definitely took over in that third quarter. We completely dominated them, and that was the difference. They outplayed us a little bit in the fourth quarter, but not by much. Not by much. All right, well, that's nice to see. That is great to have back-to-back championships. I don't think I've done that in a series in quite some time, so pretty happy with that. As Rex Wright gets the finals MVP, like I said last year, it was Evans that got it, so shout out to Rex for securing that. 17 points per game, 6 rebounds, 6.7 assists, 2 steals per game, and 0.5 blocks. Rex was a regular season MVP a few years ago. This year, he's a finals MVP. So shout out to him. All right, final things we got to take a look at is our player stats, and then I'll be it for this episode. Obviously, we'll do the off-season stuff in next episode. So we'll probably do at least a couple more seasons left of this. I kind of still want to go until players retire, but you guys can let me know if you think we should do that or not. But in terms of player stats from the playoffs for our roster, you can see Evans led the way with 21.3 points per game. Wright still got the finals MVP with 20.6 points per game, but obviously the all-around complete game's a lot better with the rebounding, the assist numbers. The steals are pretty similar, I guess, same with the blocks and all that, but Rex is really good all around. We had 17.3 points per game from Westbrook, 16.1 from Carroll. He did play still good despite being injured in that last few games of that series. So that's great. Semenko on 15.4. We had Goodwin on 10.5. Bishop 9.6. Washburn on 3.9. So you can see it drops off considerably afterwards. But most of our stars did huge work in most areas. Obviously, some of them didn't do crazy offensively like Bishop, but in terms of like the rebounding, that's where Bishop was important. Same goes with Rex, even though Rex was really good in the point department too. And Rex led us in assists per game. Steals per game, it was Rex. Blocks, it was Bishop, 1.7 blocks. So you can see, like I said, Bishop didn't pick up the most points, but his rebounding and his blocking was huge for this team. And then in terms of turnovers per game, I mean, we did turn it over a decent amount. Looks like all these guys were under 3 turnovers a game, which is good. We did foul a little bit too much, which is something I didn't like, but at least it improved a bit, I guess, in the last game. Field goal percentage, looks like a lot of guys over 50%. The only ones under 50% were guys like Bishop, the other Carroll. Westbrook was under there, so I guess he dropped off a lot. That's kind of weird. 3-point percentage, he was the best on that. Semenko, 468. Damn, that's way better than everybody else. And then free throw percentage, obviously everybody's going to be pretty good at that for the most part. So now if we look at somebody like Evans in terms of his career from the award perspective, you can see NBA championship, 2035, 2036, an MVP, a finals MVP, or 3 All-Stars, 1 first team All-NBA, and then also the 6th Man of the Year 1 year, all within the last few years of the season. Actually the last 3 years. That's actually insane. And then if we go to somebody like Rex Wright, of course, he also has a lot of awards. 2-time championship, 1 MVP, 1 finals MVP, 3 All-Stars, 1 all-team or all-NBA team, 1 all-rookie team. But he didn't win Rookie of the Year, which is kind of surprising. So we've these two are probably my favorite players on the team, Wright and Evans. But honestly, all these guys have been fantastic. And the old guys on the team like Westbrook and all that are still pretty damn good, even though they're pretty much battered up at this point and kind of dropping a little bit too. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Anchorage Ice Tigers Draft Glory MyNBA. So in next episode, we will take it to another off season. We'll see if we are able to maintain this roster. There's a chance we might lose somebody good because of money reasons, I would assume. But I'm assuming our team still should be good going into next season, but it would be nice to see if this team could pull off a three-peat. And like I said, I kind of want to go till these guys retire on their team. But if we're going to win so many championships, do you guys want me to continue the series as much as possible? Or should we start a new series or something like that? So let me know below, and I'll see you guys next time.